nervous, eh? You fellas want to help me out with that for a second? Because you ever get so nervous that you forget how to breathe?
Yeah.
It happens to me every time I go to talk to people.
We love you!
So, if you're able to, stand up for a second.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like a bat waking up first thing in the morning. You've got your wings wrapped around yourself. You're in the nice warm afternoon sun. Just stretch one wing out. Have a nice little stretch in that nice morning sun. Yeah, that's pretty good. Maybe a little scratch. Wrap it back around on the other side. Got to have symmetry. Noisy if you don't do both sides. Yeah, that's pretty good. Alright, I'm going to put both wings out now, getting ready to fly. It's getting dark. Maybe have a little, just like a little gentle test flap. Yeah, they're working. Engines on. We're good. Alright, now we're ready to go. Like, just like, you know, they kind of like, they can't run up, you know, because they're sort of hanging on the branch. So they're sort of like swinging there a bit. And they kind of get this little bit of momentum because they're flapping. And they're swinging. And the next thing you know, they're like, whoosh, gone. So just give yourself a nice little flap. And we're remembering to breathe. It's mostly for me. Alright, grab a seat. Probably going to do a few silly things during this. We'll see what happens. Alright, yeah, so I'm Sarah Woodburn. I've been a bat rescuer and rehabilitator for about 9-10 years now. Pretty cool job, pretty special job. I'm going to do a little bit of a mishmash for you. So I'm going to show you a little bit of some cool videos of rescue bats and then talk a little bit about my art. I might have to look at some notes here. And remember to breathe.
Yeah.
Feel free to remind me sometimes. I'll start talking real fast and you'll know I'm not breathing. Alright. Tech wizard, video number 1, let's go. Oh, actually, before you start, if you can't see the screen, there's going to be a lot happening on the screen, so maybe just temporarily shift your seat so you've got a decent view. I might actually move to the side. How's that? Can everyone see? Alright, let's go. Oh, what's happening? Yep, go. Alright, so this was my first flying fox orphan that I raised. This is Rosie. You see her day 1, day 2, 11 weeks on the side, and then this is ready to go into the release cage where she's learning to fly. These guys are my Mujungal, that's our word in my language for totem. It's pretty special to have a totem living in your house. Like, I fully recognise that I'm pretty lucky to get to have that experience. And it's a really special way for me to care for country. Although our mob don't get to care for country, I grew up in Sydney, in Western Sydney, concrete everywhere. You know, so this is a pretty important connection to country for me. Someone remind me at the end to tell you the story of how I was born too. It's related to that. I also care for these little fellas. These are the little tiny microbats. People think that they're baby flying foxes. They're not. These are fully grown. That's an adult bat there on my thumb, the size of my thumb. These guys eat insects. They can eat about 1/3 of their body weight in insects every night. So imagine how many mosquitoes we'd have if we didn't have these guys. Right? They do pretty good service for us, and they're really easy to miss. You know, flying around in the dark. Tiny little things. These are some of the special moments I get to have. This is a day-old microbat pup, just been born. Orphaned. Mum didn't make it, unfortunately. That's why I'm feeding him milk. Their bodies are see-through when they're that age. You can see their heart beating. And it really, I don't know, man, I look at that and I go, that's like magic, you know? There's like a little miracle that I'm looking at right there. That's the end of the video. We can just pause for a second. It really makes you, feel alive and recognise just, how complex country is. And I find it hard to believe that all happened by accident. You know, so our ancestors said that country was alive, you know, and these animals can be our family. For me, bats are my family. I'll tell you that story of when I was born, right? The reason that they're my family is because when I was born in the hospital, I was born at Westmead Hospital near Parramatta, and there's a big flying fox camp there in the park. Who's seen it before? Anyone? Yeah, a couple of people. Right, so my nan and pop were watching the flying foxes fly out of the park when the doctor came out and said that I'd been born. So it's kind of just been this family joke that I was like flying out of my mum. Join my people. You know, so that's why they got given to me as my totem. But they do now, they live in my house. So they really are family to me. Like, I just don't see animals as being any different than us, and it's like it's actually a really upsetting thing for me because I'm also autistic, right? And like mob understand it because Aboriginal people have been dehumanised, but so have autistic people and people with mental health challenges and stuff. You put both those things together, and it's a pretty rough upbringing that you have. I didn't have a really great childhood because of all that stuff. People used to tell me I had social disorder. But the problem is that nobody counted bats as a worthy social partner. Nobody cared that I might not be hanging out with other kids, but I was down in the Yarramundi and Parramatta flying fox camps every weekend hanging out with bats. So, and it got me some cool jobs as well. Like, not many people know bats the way I do, so you kind of get your foot in the door with some cool gigs. Anyway, so I just recently, I say I'm scared of talking to people, right? I had to talk to a group of 200 people last November in a really formal, serious thing because I did this big art project about bats called Upside Down People. And what it was, right, I had this little group of videography students who were all autistic. And I took them out on country, spent some time with the bats. They followed me around for 3-4 months videoing all my art and stuff, and we made a nice little production out of it. And it was a one night only thing, unfortunately, but we're hoping to eventually bring it to Sydney. But what I wanted to show you is the very last video that we made, because the whole thing was pretty bleak. Bats go through a lot of crap stuff. It's not great news for them. So we wanted to kind of try and bring it all together, capture the seriousness of the issues, but also give people hope. So what I've got for you is not the final version, it's the draft version. I don't have permission to show the full version. Coming to a cinema near you, maybe. We'll see, fingers crossed. So I've got the draft version. We'll have a look at that. At the end, it's going to tell you that now is your turn to use gloves to be a bat. I'm really sorry I forgot to bring the gloves. But we're still going to do an activity at the end, but we'll talk about that at the end. But I'm sorry about the gloves, just ignore that bit. Alright, video number 2, Tech Wizard.
Once upon a time, before colonization, bats blacked out the stars as they flew like rivers of ink into the sky. Now, the stars are darkened by the loud lights of cities that have stolen bat homes. Will we ever see stars twinkling in the skies and eyes of city bats again? Someone asked, what gives me hope now? I said, not much. By 2050, they're telling us that grey-headed fruit bats will probably be extinct, along with a few microbat species. I'll only be 64 years old. I don't want to live in a world without bats. Without bats, whole ecosystems will collapse. How did we let this happen? One of the most recent Australian extinctions was a bat. Her name was Christmas Island pipistrelle, a tiny little bat who hardly anyone knew even existed before she was gone forever. For 24 years of my life, no one knew autistic women existed either. Then, when they did, they hoped that people like me could be cured out of existence. For every real bat who I rescue, I make a paper bat too. I don't know if rescuing bats makes a real difference. I can only hope that it does. We need a lot more bats in the world. Bats are like umbrellas, sheltering us from the waves of heat and insects and the darkness that sometimes takes over. Bats are the hope that flickers in the dark, echolocating their way to what can't always be easily seen. Bats are teaching me that hope needs to be pollinated. It doesn't just appear out of nothing. You have to search for it, taste it, share it. Sometimes to find hope, you need to look at things differently. Fruit bat eyes evolved in relationship with eucalyptus flowers. In the night vision of a bat, the flowers burn brightly like stars. Bats eat the nectar and get covered in pollen, then they fly it from one tree to the next, and that's how new trees are made. Imagine if we pollinated hope. We could make space for animals to have healthy homes and enough food to eat. We could grow a world where autistic people are welcome just as they are. We could stop bats from disappearing forever. I hope so. I really, really hope so. I'm willing to fly through the dark, chasing echoes of hope. I hope that one day we will see the stars twinkling over unceded lands again, darkened only by the wings of the tree growers, the echo chasers, and the night protectors. And I hope that autistic people will be included in the pollination of the world. Most of all, and before it's too late, I hope that human hands will finally learn how to fly with others. Sorry about the gloves, guys. I feel really bad about it, I really do. Tech Wizard, there's a number 3, it's just a picture, if we can just pop that up.
Picture?
Yeah, just pop that up for a sec. So the reason that I like to use gloves, right, is hands feature really intensely in my art. Part of that's because like our ancestors used to put their handprints on everything, and I've always been taught that was like, you know, I was here, you know, I belong here, this is where I'm from, I visited this place, I lived in this place, I'm from this place. And you know, the thing about bat wings is that their anatomy is exactly the same as ours. So if you stick your hand out like this, right, and you follow the bone from her body, it's the exact same bone down to the elbow there, and then up to where all the bones spread out. The hook on the end is the thumb, and then you got 1 finger, 2 finger, 3 fingers, 4 fingers. Right? Their wing is a hand, and it's all those veins you can see. It's very sensitive, it's very tactile. People think that their wing must feel like leather. It doesn't feel like leather, it feels like latex gloves. And so I get people to put black latex gloves on and use their hands to create a bat shape, and just for a little bit, just in a tactile kind of way, be connected to them somehow, you know. And what we usually do is we do it. I watched this really cool video of some awesome footage that myself and a whole bunch of scientists that I've worked with have been able to take. The scientists I work with, they're down in Victoria, and they're the Southern Bentwing Recovery Project, and they're basically looking after 2 caves that are the maternity caves for the entire population of bentwing microbats in Australia. If we lose those 2 caves, we lose that entire species. So it's pretty special. You'll see some footage of those caves in a second. One that you'll see, that a lot of people don't know what it is a big circle in the cave. And you'll see like bats fluttering around it, and something's moving in the circle. And what it is that's moving in the circle is a whole bunch of baby bat pups. And they put them all together in this little communal nest, and that's what keeps them all warm. And they take turns, they shuffle them around, and the parents like take turns, like some of them will roost while others go feed, and then they'll swap over. And it's just, to me, like, that's like such a great model. Like that's what my aunties have always told me that community is as well, you know. So I'm very able to relate to that, and I've had them use that as a way of, I guess, teaching me how to be more participatory in my own communities, because even with mob, I struggle in social situations pretty intensely. But as soon as you put it in terms of another species, because I don't always feel human, I always feel like everyone else. As soon as you start talking about an animal, I'm like, oh, well, if they can do that, I can do that too, right? So I'm going to put it up. It's up to you if you just want to enjoy the beautiful footage, because it is pretty cool. Like, this is some really cool bat footage. Flying foxes and microbats. If you want to get your hands and have a little fly with it, you can do that too. But mostly just enjoy. Sound guy, this one could be a little bit loud, so feel free to adjust. And then at the end, so you saw Bangu, he's over there, he was in the last video. If you want to have a closer look, he's just hanging out up there. Bangu's my language word for bat. He's just hanging out over there if you want to have a look. But also, I'm going to pass these around. I've got some of my handprint bats are up on my website as greeting cards now. This is going to show how, you'd think someone my age would be really tech savvy, right? I got the cards that I didn't put my website or QR code on and left the template thank you message in. So you might have to just take a picture of the website on that one. But then the other ones that I reprinted actually have the scan code. So I'll pass them around, have a look, and if you just want to like follow me, follow my art, have a look at anything like that, see what we're doing, see if Upside Down People ever makes it to Sydney, I hope it does. That's the way for you to keep informed about that. So Tech Wizard, roll the last video. That's it from me. I'm not going to come back after this, and I'll just pass these around.